All right, I'm trying to learn how to trade these futures, the S&P futures here, and I'm noticing some repeating patterns, and a lot of times it'll shoot up and go into a range, and in that range, it tends to develop the same kinds of movements that lead to a breakout. All right, so here on the 10,000 tick chart, the S&P, it shot up into a range. It does some particular characteristics in these ranges. Here's a bigger range that did similar characteristics. It took longer. You see a spike up, and you see over here in this range right here, you see it going sideways. You see a spike up, then a drop down, and then it goes up. It can be over the top of little pivots. It may break out of the top of the highest and then come back down. I just want to look at some things over here that are very similar. So let's take a look at the first little short range, and then we're going to take a look at the long range. All right, let's start with a fresh, clean 2,000 tick chart of the S&P here. I want to examine what happens when it goes into a range and how it comes out of a range here with these two examples, this little short area range here and this bigger range here, short range. And we've got a bigger range here. And the ranges are interestingly drawn because you got to find the tightest consolidation up and downs that hit the most. So in the ranges we're talking about, you're going to see breaks of it from the high side and breaks of it from the low side. But it's what's the tightest grip in the middle. You'll have pokes, equal amount of distance between the pokes above and the pokes below. That's when you know you got it right. The same thing with this one over here. You got to get those tightest little a collection of whips and snaps that seem to be consistently making the centerpiece, if you will, of the range, and you'll have oftentimes equal distance between the pokes below and the pokes above. All right, so it's a range. And what happened here in this range then? Let's take a look at this range right here first and look at some characteristics, some traits that repeat themselves, stuff that we can wait for because, ranges can be tricky because they are so choppy and you don't know how long it's going to take. So I understand if people want to play the bottom, the lowest part and the highest part and all this stuff, and that's interesting. Playing the breakout of a range, though, is trickier. And I'm looking to see if there's anything here that I can see that would lead me to believe that it's going to break out. And what I'm noticing is this W pattern where there's a couple of tries to sell here, a couple of tries to sell off, maybe two, it may be three, right? But it definitely puts in a higher low. A higher low is imperative. Okay, so this is putting in a higher low here. All right, some may see this as an opportunity, and it could have been. It's almost the same type of thing. We'll talk about this area right here too. Let's open this up and get a little closer on it because it's very important for me at least to meditate on this and get this right. All right, so there's another little opportunity here that looks like it's putting in sell, trying to consolidate up here. We never really get a breakout phase. This candle would have kept me from going in that trade, but if it consolidated higher, a little tighter in the higher part, it looks like it wanted to. It looks like it wanted to consolidate here and then give us some kind of suggestion that it wanted to go. It just never did. So this would not have been a trade for me. This, however, is something I'm interested in. I'd start by drawing trend lines. Probably would have drawn this one first. Usually on the first trend line break, it's quite often that the break of that trend line and that trend line becomes resistance for the next move up. We're looking, does it make a lower low? No, it does not make a lower low. Comes up. It does not make a higher high either. So we draw another trend line. I draw another trend line here. It breaks out. It basically uses that area as a liftoff pad again. And these are our areas of selling that does not make a lower low. This line down here is our lower low area. Okay. And that's the low. And so it's making a higher low here in a range. I like that it's above the moving averages, right? We definitely want it to be above the moving averages. And we definitely want it to make a higher a higher high, a breaking of structure. That's what this one does. This candle right here breaks that area. This could have been a high risk play for a momentum play. I wouldn't have necessarily wanted to do it because it hasn't even broke over this pivot yet. So, using this little candle here as momentum, I'm not sure if I would have, but let's talk about what I would have done. Looking for another trend line confirmation break here. We take this one and we draw that out right there. So now it's broken 2, 3 trend lines, and it's starting to, what do we need to see? We need to see consolidation. We definitely need to see consolidation. Consolidation is key to this actually being a difference between a false breakout, right, and a bad breakout, because there's no consolidation, all right? This is not a consolidation, all right? It doesn't give us a clear sell consolidation at the top range. It doesn't give us sell, a consolidation at the top. This almost produced it, but it didn't. So we need sell, higher, low than the lowest of this range. Consolidation at the higher ends of the range, It can be at the higher end of this area here. Sometimes it is right in this area, as long as it's above the moving averages, as long as it's above the trend line. That's being broken, and right here is the entry point. And basically, the top of this would be really good. A higher risk, but a better price would be as these green candles close above these red candles down here. The moving averages are going in the right direction. It's above the trend lines. It's given us the sell signal. It's given us the higher low. It's giving us, this area right here would not have been enough of a confirmation of a consolidation yet. But, when it closes up here and closes up here, I can see somebody wanting to take the breakout on that candle, keeping the stop down here, and it would have succeeded still because it never really went past that. So on this candle right here, it does look strongly like it's consolidated, breaking out, and it just comes back and creates a higher low. 2 pintail strong bullish candles off of the ascending moving averages after a 3 try sell, breaking trend line consolidation. Trend lines are moving, pintails are put in, consolidations here, and the breakout of all of that telling us that, hey, this is the area that's most interesting out of this entire pattern. Okay, we have all of these signals. Let's go over the signals one more time, and then we're going to go look on the bigger range and see if we can see the same things. What do we see here? Number one, we see a lower high. Okay. 2, we see at least 2 to 3 tries to sell. We see 2 try sell. So it's trying to sell at a lower high, right? I'm just going to type all this in here. And then we see the moving averages all agreeing upward, right? So that's a sign, okay? So I'm just going to put another sign over here. We're just going to line up all these signals over here of what we see. We see, can't be ignored, consolidation. All right, so let's type that in, consolidation. And what else do we see? We see 3 tries to sell, trend line breaks. Oh, let's put in the trend line breaks. Trend line breaks. Okay, we got 3 tries to sell. We got a higher low, a higher low. Let's type that in. Higher low. Okay. All right. So we have a higher low. We've got 2 tries to sell off at that area. We've got trend lines being broken. We've got consolidation and the moving averages. And to top it all off, we have bullish pintail candles. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 6 different, you know, opportunities here, 6 different signals for this saying that, hey, this is probably going to go up. And if it doesn't, hey, this is the best failure I've ever seen. Because if this fails, this is how I want it to fail. This is where I want to take a trade. And if it doesn't work, pat myself on the back and say, good job. That was still a good trade. Okay. So now let's go look at this other area. And we want to see if there's any similarities. Now, when I was first learning about ranges, I had, problems with this being a range, with it being so violated to the top and to the bottom, until I understood the power of price consolidation. Okay. When you see a tight range of consolidation in an area, regardless of the violations up and down, there's a lot of people in that area making decisions, and it's a big debate, and it's a big pressure cooker area. Okay. So let's see if we see anything in the areas that meet that criteria, that in this range. Let's start as early as possible in this development here, and let's go right here to this area here. All right, because I don't see anything over here that fits that criteria. Right in here, we could see a couple of things that look like that criteria. Would we take the trade, and how would we manage our risk? Very important, very important. So let's look at that. All right, in this circle is the area that I was interested in. Let's get rid of that circle here. Do we have 2 tries to sell? Do we have consolidation? Right? Do we have a trend line break? Yeah, we do. We have a trend line break. Do we know where our...
All right, time for the...
Okay, so let's see. Trend line break, 2 times the sale, higher low. Yeah, well, this is a higher low for sure. Trend line break. Do we have bullish candles? Yeah, we do. We got some pintails, some bullish candles, some dojis. Things are really taking off right here. Okay. And so regardless of how many signs you have, this is a lot of signs to say, hey, this may be breaking out. Okay. And like all these breakouts, you got to be careful to manage your risk. So if I were to take this breakout on this candle right here, if I were to take the breakout on this candle right here, my stop would have to be down here. My entry would be right here. And my 1-to-1 at least would be up here. So this would not be successful in my opinion. Okay, it would not be. But when it starts to get close to your 1-to-1, I mean, there's a lot of disciplines. One of them is to just start to reduce your risk, bring it to this area here. Once it gets up into this, once this candle develops here, I would probably bring my stop loss at least to this candle. I would cut my risk in half. So I would lose half my risk on this trade. Okay, let's go to the next one. Do we have 2 tries to sell? Yeah, we have an attempt to sell here, and we have an attempt to sell here. Did it make a higher low? Well, here's the other higher low here. So yeah, it made a higher low. All right. Oh, the other one was it over the moving averages? And clearly it was over the moving averages in this consolidation area. So that's another question. Is it above? Is there consolidation? Is there consolidation? Is it above the moving averages? Do we see bullish candles? This dip with the hammer at 50% of this move, and the bullish tendency here would definitely, be bullish. Do you want to try to take it into this range here? I mean, some people do. At some point, you're going to have to try, and there's always going to be a range. You have to ask yourself, is the overall picture bullish, and will it make a higher and higher and higher level, and will you be on the one that makes the higher level? So, if this was going to be taken by me, I would have my stop underneath this pintail, and if I were to enter on this trade, this candle breakout here, this would be a complete loss here. Now, we're going to talk about these. These are both losses in my opinion. Let's mark them up. There's 2 losses. And let's go look at the winner and ask ourselves, did the winner outperform the losses? So let's mark 2 losses here. All right, and then now let's go over to look and examine more and more of our situations here. Okay, let's examine this area here for a second, even though I'm not sure if it made a higher low. Yeah, it did. If you're looking at this low here and this low here, okay, you could say that made a higher low. So let's look at how many times did it try to sell off. It's trying to sell off a couple of times here within a trend line capacity. We want to make sure that we understand what we're trying to do here. You can also use this too. It's best if it does a W pattern, in my opinion, or a rounding head and shoulders pattern. Okay, but does it have consolidation? Is it above the moving averages? That's questionable because sometimes when you get a deep pullback, the best place to buy is under the moving averages. You have to make that call, right? You have to make that call. Like over here on this one, you know, if we were to look at this one, we've got we've got, how many times do we got to sell here? We got that one. We got a head and shoulders pattern, right? We got sell, sell, sell. We've got a trend line break, right? We got a trend line break, and we have consolidation. And boy, this candle really tells us a lot. This pintail down here and this bullish candle is very, very indicative of a momentum trade. For me, I would probably try to take this trade with my stop down here, my entry here, and definitely hit 1-to-1 on this. And that's quite a 1-to-1. And, you know, you might have gotten 2-to-1 out of this if we could get that peak over there, depending on the actual precise numbers of that. All right, so this was an interesting trade. 3 tries to sell, W or head and shoulders pattern, breaking a trend line, consolidating, showing us bullish candles over at least these 2 moving averages, which is significant, over the 8 and over the 20 and over the 50. You don't have to have it over the 200, because a lot of times the best place to get it is going to be low, and it's not going to be over the moving averages sometimes. But you know, if we're in the lowest part of the range, that's good. All right, let's take up these 2 failed. Here is another opportunity that I wanted to look at. A head and shoulders pattern, breaking the trend line, consolidation, bullish candle taken off above the moving averages, and we get an entry point right here. If you want to wait above that pintail, that's fine. Let's put our stop loss here, our entry here, and of course we got over 1-to-1 up here on that. Okay, so let's keep looking. Let's keep looking. Let's keep looking. This area right here is real tricky. You do have it, but it's almost miniature. You got a head and shoulders pattern, 3 tries to sell at the 200. You got a 1 candle, red candle consolidation. You got the trend line break. You got the trend line break, a bounce off the moving averages, a bounce off the trend line, a bounce off these pivots here, and a bullish candle reversal pattern. Your stop loss is very, very tight. Sometimes these are the best ones because your stop loss is so little. Here's your entry, right? Entry on here somewhere. And you definitely got, it's clear to see that you got 2-to-1 on this. Okay, so there's a winner. Here is, let's take a look at this one. Let's take a look at anything that looks similar. That might give us, here's a try to sell. Here's a try to sell. Here's a try to sell. Here's a trend line break. Here's a trend line break. Here's a trend line break. I don't exactly know if I would, it's possible that if I was desperate for a trade, I might look at this one as a consolidation. I don't like it as much because the the 50 and the 20 are heading down, and the price is not over them yet, but you get this strong candle here that closes above, and let's just say we did take that riskier trade. Here's our stop loss. Here's our entry. And no, we didn't get 1-to-1 on that. We did not get 1-to-1 on that. No, we didn't. That is not a winner. That is not a winner. So 1-to-1 would be here. Knowing me, though, if it creates these bullish candles, as soon as it starts to turn red, I would probably at least cut some of my risk out and put it on that breakout candle. And I'd probably lose a little bit on that right there. That's my loss, that little bit right there. Let's keep moving, checking out some more here. Here's a good one. 2 tries to sell. We got consolidation. We got bullish candles over the moving averages. Trend line break here. Trend line break here. A bounce and retest of the trend line with bullish candles over the moving averages. Consolidation. 2 tries to sell. And it looks like that's worth a try. If you keep stop loss tight, we probably would want to keep our stop loss down at the bottom of these pintails. Entry is questionable. I mean, I'm not sure where people want to get in on this. Because probably at the close of that green candle, as soon as it overtakes that red candle, okay? And 1-to-1 would be barely hit at the top of that. And if we moved our stop to break even, we would be out of the back half on it, unfortunately. Of course, there's re-entry opportunities. If we're playing a different kind of pattern, there's re-entry opportunities. But once it starts climbing to the top of the range and bouncing off of it, see, every time it's broken out of this range, this over here would have been a temptation to bounce off the, well, you wouldn't have really known about the range at this moment. We don't really become aware of the range until this area here. I probably would say right here in this area, but the pattern itself can still be played without a range. When you see a bullish tendency, impulsive move, this pattern can be played actually without a range. 3 tries to sell, trend line break, consolidation, pintails bullish over the moving averages, and momentum and this and that. That pattern, that play out, that procedure can be played regardless if there's a range. Okay? But this is one of my favorite trades. It really is. And it is consistent. It's not perfect, but it is consistent. And I'll be looking to play that over and over, Lord willing, and hopefully do well with that. All right? God bless you. Peace.